Imagine waking up in a world with no clocks, no watches, no calendars, no hours, no minutes. How would you know when to wake up, when to eat, when to meet another person? Today, almost every moment of our lives is controlled by time. We set alarms, we check our phones, we schedule meetings, we celebrate birthdays. But for most of human history, none of those things existed. So how did humans invent time? The answer begins long before the first clock, long before calendars, even before civilization itself. Early humans didn't measure time, they observed it. Every morning, the sun appeared. Every evening, it disappeared. The moon changed its shape night after night. The stars slowly shifted across the sky, and the seasons always returned. Without realizing it, nature had become humanity's first clock. Long before anyone counted hours, people simply followed patterns. They woke with the sunrise. They rested after sunset. They hunted when animals were active. They gathered food when plants were ready. Life wasn't scheduled by numbers. It was guided by nature. As thousands of years passed, humans noticed something incredible. The patterns never stopped repeating. Winter always came after autumn. Spring always followed winter. The moon always returned to the same shape. The sun always rose from the east. These repeating cycles allowed humans to predict the future, not years into the future, but days, weeks, and seasons. That knowledge changed everything. For hunters, it meant knowing when animals would migrate. For early farmers, it meant knowing the perfect time to plant seeds. Plant too early, and the cold could kill the crops. Plant too late, and there wouldn't be enough time to harvest before winter. For the first time in history, time became something worth measuring. But there was one problem. Nature wasn't always precise enough. The sun could tell you whether it was morning or afternoon, but it couldn't tell you exactly how much time had passed. People needed something better, something more accurate, something they could control, and that's when humanity began creating its very first clocks. The earliest clocks weren't made of gears. They weren't powered by electricity, and they certainly didn't fit inside your pocket. They used something much simpler: the sun. Around 5,000 years ago, ancient civilizations discovered that a stick planted in the ground cast a moving shadow. As the sun traveled across the sky, the shadow moved with it. By placing marks around the stick, people could estimate the time of day. This simple invention became known as the sundial. For the first time, humans could divide the day into smaller parts, but sundials had one major weakness. They only worked when the sun was shining, at night, or on cloudy days. They became useless, so people searched for another solution. They turned to water. Ancient Egyptians, Babylonians, Greeks, and Chinese civilizations all developed water clocks. A container filled with water would slowly drip into another container below. Because the water flowed at a nearly constant speed, people could measure the passing of time. Later, some cultures used candles. As a candle burned, marks along its side showed how much time had passed. Others used incense sticks that burned at a predictable rate. These inventions weren't perfect, but they were good enough for everyday life. As cities grew larger, people needed something even more accurate. Farmers had to know when to work. Merchants needed to open and close their markets. Religious ceremonies had to begin at the correct moment. Entire civilizations started depending on reliable timekeeping. Then came one of history's greatest inventions, the mechanical clock. Instead of sunlight or flowing water, these clocks used gears, weights, and carefully engineered mechanisms. By the 1300s, giant mechanical clocks appeared on church towers across Europe. For the first time, entire towns could share the same time. People no longer guessed the hour. They heard it. The sound of a bell became the heartbeat of the city. Work began with the bell. Markets opened with the bell. People gathered with the bell. Time was no longer personal. It became something everyone shared. As mechanical clocks became more common, people began organizing their lives around them. Instead of saying, "I'll meet you after sunrise," they could now say, "I'll meet you at 3 o'clock." It may sound ordinary today, but thousands of years ago, that idea was revolutionary. Time became something everyone could agree on. But there was still another problem. Every town kept its own local time. When the sun reached its highest point, that town called it noon. The next town did the same, even if it happened a few minutes later. For centuries, This wasn't a problem. People rarely traveled far from home. Then everything changed. The Industrial Revolution transformed the world. Steam trains connected distant cities. People traveled farther and faster than ever before. Suddenly, different local times created confusion. A train leaving one city at noon could arrive somewhere else before the clocks there even reached noon. Schedules became difficult. Passengers missed trains. Accidents became more likely. The world needed a single system, so countries began creating standard time. Instead of every town using its own clock, entire regions agreed to share the same time. These became known as time zones. Today, the Earth is divided into 24 major time zones. As our planet spins, each zone experiences daylight at a different moment. When it's morning in one country, it's already night in another. For the first time in history, millions of people could coordinate their lives, even across continents. But humanity wasn't finished improving time. Scientists wanted something even more accurate, something that wouldn't lose or gain even a single second. So they turned to the smallest building blocks of nature, atoms. Modern atomic clocks don't use shadows, or water, or gears. They measure tiny vibrations inside atoms. These vibrations happen at an incredibly precise rate, so precise that today's best atomic clocks would lose only about 1 second over millions, even billions of years. They help guide GPS satellites, keep the internet synchronized, support global communication networks, and even help scientists explore the universe. Today, almost every phone, computer, satellite, and digital device depends on these invisible clocks. Ironically, we rarely think about them. Time is so deeply woven into our lives that we almost forget it had to be measured in the first place. Humans didn't invent time itself. The sun still rose before clocks existed. The seasons still changed. The universe kept moving. What humans invented was a way to understand it, a way to measure it, and a way to share it with everyone else. Every second you see on a clock, every calendar hanging on a wall, every countdown, deadline, birthday, and New Year's celebration exists because countless generations spent thousands of years trying to answer one simple question: what time is it?